This happened when I was around 4 or 5 years old. At that time, there was no bathroom at home, so I often went to the public bathhouse with my mother. One day, after taking a bath, I started to feel bored, and I began to play in the bath pool as if it were a swimming pool. I suddenly noticed a staircase and a door beside the bath pool. Below the door handle, there was a large keyhole. Filled with anticipation, I peered inside, but something was blocking the other side, and I couldn't see anything. Maybe there's nothing special, I thought to myself. But curiosity drove me to press my eye against the keyhole again. In the dim light, I vaguely saw a machine like a boiler. Wow, how fascinating. I stared intently through the keyhole, totally captivated. Whether it was sensing the atmosphere behind the door or some kind of intuition, I suddenly moved my gaze away from the keyhole and instinctively took a step back. The next moment, a sharp, flathead screwdriver thrust out from the keyhole, shaking vigorously. I held my breath and quickly left the spot. I was so scared that I couldn't even tell my mother about it. This experience left an indelible mark on my heart, and every time I recall it, it sends shivers down my spine. During my days in Hiroshima, I encountered quite a few eerie events, but one in particular is especially unforgettable. It was on a sunny afternoon, the day of my elementary school sports meet. My parents came to watch me participate in the event, but went home after lunch. The sports meet ended around 5 p.m., and feeling exhausted, I hurried back home right afterward. When I got home, everything was silent, and there was no one around, so I went straight to bed to rest. I don't know how much time had passed, but the buzzing sound of a hairdryer woke me up from my sleep. I rubbed my eyes and walked towards the source of the sound, the bathroom. There, I saw my mother drying her hair. We chatted casually for a bit, and at that moment, I heard my father's voice from the living room.
Let's go out for dinner tonight.
I replied, I'm not hungry, still want to sleep. With that, I went back to my room to continue sleeping, vaguely remembering that my mother let out a faint sigh as I left. Later, I woke up around midnight with my stomach growling. I decided to head to the living room to find something to eat. On my way, I once again heard the sound of the hairdryer coming from the bathroom. The same scene replayed, my mother drying her hair. Several hours had passed, so I couldn't help but ask, Mom, how long are you going to dry your hair? Her response stunned me.
As long as I want. Do you want me to kill you?
I vaguely remember her saying something else, but at that moment, her eyes were completely red, as if bloodshot. I was terrified and hurriedly ran towards the living room where I thought I heard my family talking. To my surprise, the living room was pitch black. There was no one there at all. I noticed a letter on the table. I can't remember the full content, but it roughly said, Welcome home. We're sorry we could only accompany you in the morning. We had to go out for some errands. I've prepared snacks and dinner in the kitchen. If you're hungry, help yourself. Reading this letter in the dark living room, I felt a chill run down my spine and was absolutely terrified. Just when I didn't know what to do, my parents returned home, and I ran crying into my mother's arms, too scared to say anything. This happened 3 years ago in the summer when I was running in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture. It had been a sunny day, but suddenly it started pouring rain. I accidentally discovered a place ahead that looked like a parking lot or a rest area, so I decided to go over and take a break. There was a parking lot, restrooms, and something like a rest area with a wooden roof, tables, and benches. I parked my car and went to use the restroom. When I came out, the rain had intensified, and it even started thundering loudly. I stared at the sky, unsure of when the rain would stop, and decided to put on my raincoat and check the surroundings. I placed my luggage on the table, took out my raincoat, and suddenly noticed an elderly couple sitting on the bench. Just a moment ago, there was no one here. When did they arrive? I thought to myself, feeling puzzled. But what was more important to me was when the rain would stop. After changing into my raincoat, I looked at the sky for another 5 minutes or so. During this time, the elderly couple didn't say a word, which made me feel uneasy and a bit strange, so I decided to start a conversation with them.
It suddenly started raining, didn't it?
Upon hearing me speak, the elderly couple exchanged a glance, and the old man said,
"It has always been raining."
I found it odd. What do you mean? It just started raining. To avoid more interaction with them, I looked at the sky and responded, "I came by bike. If the rain doesn't stop, I won't be able to go back." After a 2-second pause, the old man said, "Is that so? How pitiful. You can't go back." I was taken aback upon hearing that. What does that even mean? I suddenly turned my head to look at the elderly couple. They had vanished without a trace. I muttered to myself, "Those two seemed suspicious." I didn't think much of it afterwards, and as I was about to leave, I suddenly heard an angry shout from afar. At that moment, I lost consciousness, and when I opened my eyes, a man in his 30s was shaking my shoulders, saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He said that he saw me coming out of the restroom, climbing over the fence as if I was about to jump, and rushed over to stop me. Checking the time, I realized I had fainted for about 2 minutes. "It was raining heavily just now, but it has already stopped," I said. The man, however, replied, "It didn't rain at all. I was still wearing my raincoat, and there were no signs of rain on the road, but my raincoat was completely soaked." If you want to see my videos faster, please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates.